We're going to spend our time talking about the favorite of positions, running back.
You are Locked On Huskers, your daily podcast on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, gang, thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. I'm Derek Pearson, DP. We're here, Lincoln, America, right here in the middle of the country, home of the Fighting Huskers, University of Nebraska, Lincoln. And I want to thank the folks who make every day, you everydayers, you folks who watch this content every single day. I want to thank you. Greatly appreciate it. Again, making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. I want to throw it to Rico and let him tell you about our sponsors from Built Bar.
Thanks, DP. Are you guys looking for a delicious snack, but you don't want all the sugar and the calories? Then you need the best tasting protein bar on the market, Built. Now, if you're like me, you work out from time to time, you need something to eat after you work out that's really tasty and really healthy, then you guys need to get these Built bars. They also have Built Puffs. They're healthy, like I said, and they taste fantastic. Seriously, they're so good, you won't even know that they're good for you. What makes them so good? They've got 100% real dark chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in delicious flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and cookies and cream. I don't know how they do it, but they taste like a candy bar while also being good for you. Now, if you want to find them, you don't just have to go to Built.com. You can go to Walmart or Sam's Club, and they have all these amazing specialty flavors at Built.com. That's right, you go to your nearest Walmart, walk all the way to the pharmacy section, grab yourself a box of Built bars. And if you want a lot more, go to Sam's Club. Grab yourself the big old 13-bar box with all the hit flavors, Brownie Batter Puff and Churro Puff. You'll thank me later. Back to you, DP.
Thanks, Rico. Greatly appreciate it. I want to spend some time today talking about running backs. And when you're talking about Nebraska, the great history and a large part of the legend was the running game for the Huskers. And there was just runner after runner, great runner after great runner. They all were different in styles. They all were different in the era in which they played. So when you have the discussion over the course of this episode, you have discussion over the greatest running backs in Nebraska history, you have to set parameters on what greatness is. Memorable moments in big games, often leading to championships, sometimes leading to national championships and Heisman trophies. You can put your level of importance and priority wherever you want. We're just having a discussion. There is no definitive answer to this thing. There's zero chance that we can get it right, but you're all absolutely correct in your opinion. So that's the way the preface to this conversation is going to be. As we go through the list of Nebraska runners and try to come up with a top 10, maybe even a top 5. And I would imagine from the top 5 that we're able to reach some agreement on the folks who would be on the Mount Rushmore of Nebraska running backs over the course of years. And you have to go back in time. So that is just, I'm sorry for you young folks, but there was running game and football before you were born. There are folks who are going to be on this list that you may not be as familiar with. And there's some names that you go, oh, man, I forgot about that dude. So in your head, before we dive into the list and start sprinting down this road, I want you in your head to rattle off the 5 that you think are at the top or the 4 that you believe are on your Mount Rushmore of runners. Again, you cannot be wrong. You can put them down in the comment section. Put them in there now so that we can go back and revisit it at the end of the episode. So let's do that. Again, if you have not subscribed, please do. We appreciate the numbers. The numbers are going up. We're over 1,300 daily. That's exceptional. Let me applaud you and thank you guys for committing and showing up every day. Here are some names that these are Nebraska greats. But they make the Nebraska Hall of Great and not the Mount Rushmore. These are all exceptional runners. And for Nebraska fans, they all have some memory that stands out when you think of their style, whether they were slashers, whether they were bruisers, whether they were toughness runners, or whether they had a little wiggle, the speed burners and the plotters. These are all really good runners. I mean, these are all runners that had 1,000-yard seasons. But to measure great by Nebraska standards, you have to have several 1,000-yard seasons just to be a part of the conversation, to be on the Mount Rushmore. And then you probably had to do that in some seasons that ended with those golden things on your finger. But I'm not sure if that disqualifies anybody from being on the Mount Rushmore. I'll let you decide that. We're just going to talk about some of the people in play. And the people, so there's some folks who could deserve to be considered. I mean, think about it. This rusher from 1984 to 1987 had averaged 6.3 yards a carry, 32 touchdowns in his career. Keith Jones put up almost 2,500 yards. Marlon Lucky averaged 4.6 yards a carry for over 2,300 yards. 22 touchdowns. Doesn't make the greatness change. Derek Brown rushed for almost 2,700 yards, 23 touchdowns at 5.9 yards a carry. These are exceptional numbers. Listen, there's a guy that we want to talk about that through all the numbers, and I want to be clear, I'm putting Johnny Rodgers in the flanker category. He will come up later with receivers and returners. So before you get mad, don't. Corey Buckhalter, who rushed from was here 97 to 2000, 2,500 yards, 27 touchdowns. Oh, by the way, he only averaged 6.1 yards a carry. These, in most universes and under most university flags, these are numbers that put you in the upper echelon, the elite space, when it comes to running the football in college football. But Nebraska did it at such a high level over so many years that these are players who that we talk about, but can we give them that gold card to the top floor where faces are carved on mountains? Here are 5 that were really good, but don't make the elite status. Amir Abdullah put up crazy numbers. 2011 to 2014. And you love the depth of what Amir Abdullah put in play. But do you put him in the top 5? Roger Craig, who played from 1979 to 1982, put up 2,400 plus yards. Oh, he only averaged 6 yards a carry. He averaged 6 yards a carry. An amazing stat is I didn't know that Roger Craig didn't have a touchdown pass receiving in college. That kind of stuns me because that kind of bit was his thing. But 27 rushing touchdowns. That's crazy. I find myself curious because there's some players I want to put in. Like, I just want to put them in. Like, I want to put Jeff Kinney in the top 5. I want to put Jeff Kinney in the top 5 because Nebraska football isn't Nebraska football without Jeff Kinney. It's crazy that Jeff Kinney, I mean, he only averaged 4 yards a carry, but when you talk about Nebraska tough runners, Jeff Kinney's we all see Jeff Kinney in big games against Oklahoma, Texas, and we see him with the jersey where the number's been torn off, and all you see is a white sheet of material hanging off his shoulder pads, and he's just in the huddle, like, tucked in his mouthpiece, says, "You know what? I don't care. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Don't care, coach. Don't worry about it." And the officials are tugging at it. His teammates are tugging at it, and he's going, "Nope, don't care. Still got work to do." That's the quality of runner that we're talking about at University of Nebraska. We'll put a pin there, and when we come back, we will go deeper into that list. We'll get higher into the top 10 and into that top 5, into the Mount Rushmore of Nebraska running backs here on Locked On Huskers. Welcome back, gang. I'm DP, Locked On Huskers. Again, thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. We appreciate you hanging out. No matter what time of day it is, it's greatly appreciated. And you every day, and it doesn't matter what time of day it is, it's greatly appreciate you hanging out. We left it at Jeff Kenny, and there are two runners that were of the same material, combining for rushes over time and style. And me as a young football fan in DC, I found myself intrigued because it was two of the great names in Nebraska running back history, two of the great names in college football. Isaiah Moses Hip from 1977 to 1979, 2,800 yards, only 5.5 yards a carry in some of the biggest games in Nebraska history. And along the same era, in the same space, there was another great name, Jarvis Redwine. 79, 1980, 2,200 yards rushing, averaged, ready for this? Let me tighten my hat for this one, 6.9 yards a carry. 6.9 yards a carry. I have to tell you, there's only one other person in the history of Nebraska football who averaged more yards a carry than that one. We'll get to him later. But my goodness gracious, 6.9 yards a carry. Look, Nebraska was just rolling out 1,000-yard rusher, 1,000 yard. Here's some dudes. This one will get you 6 a pop. This one will get you 7. Don't worry about it. Pretty exceptional stuff. Calvin Jones, 1991 and 1993, 3,200 yards. Remember, we giggled and snickered at the 6.9, but Calvin Jones averaged 6 yards a carry, 6.8 yards a carry, 6.8 yards per carry, 40 touchdowns, 40 touchdowns. And to put him on the Mount Rushmore, I would have to fight some people. Ken Clark, 3,200 yards in 1987 and 1989. Oh, I don't know, 6.1 yards a carry. This was like Nebraska running game was a cheat code. This is a cheat code. When you think about the crazy numbers that you were just run, it was an assembly line of Terminators at running back that just never quit. It never ended. They were just body after body after body. And it kept happening. Here's where it gets really sticky. If you're in your head, you look down at your piece of paper, these might be the 5 names that you had. Might be the 5 names. And again, if you put Amir Abdullah in, I'm not mad. If you put Keith Jones in, I am hip, Jarvis Redwine, I'm not mad. But here's the dilemma. I think we can all assume 3 of the 4 on the Mount Rushmore. That 4th one is a beast. It's a monster, right? And I'm going to paint the picture, and you tell me. One of these runners rushed for 3,300 yards in 2009 through 2012, 30 touchdowns, average 5.2 yards a carry. The second runner rushed for 28 touchdowns, averaged 5.9 yards a carry for 3,400 yards. Really close from 2007 to 2010. The careers actually crossed over, as happens for a lot of these runners. Shared space, shared greatness, all in play. So you're not wrong either way. But one of them is Roy Halou, and one of them is Rex Burkhead. Nebraska fans, I'm sorry, but it appears to me that one of them have to be left off the Mount Rushmore. Now, if your Rushmore includes anybody that I listed to this point, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's your Mount Rushmore. You cannot be wrong. But I am hip. Keith Jones, Marlon Lucky, we didn't even talk about. He carried for almost 2,400 yards, 2005, 2008. Again, a great crossover. A lot of these runners share time. Derek Brown, 90 to 92, 2,700 yards, average 5.9 a carry, 23 touchdowns. Like, okay, you can't be mad. Jeff Kenny, Roger Craig, Ken Clark. Burkhead, Redwine, Jones. You're any of them on your list, I'm okay with it. Then you get to what and I'm not sure. I may be willing, Husker fans, go with me on this. I'm willing to put these next three runners, if it's just three runners from any universe and football program in the country. And you can tell me if I'm wrong. I know that, people, Oklahoma, Texas, there's some people, right? There's Miami, there's a few. But does anybody have a better three than runner 1A at Nebraska or runner 1A 2? Like, I can't call them 1A, 1B, 1C. I can't do that. They're all 1AA. So here's some numbers, and you go through those numbers. This runner, 30 touchdowns in his career, 6.2 yards per carry, 6.2. That's the lowest rushing number of the three. 6.2 yards per carry, 30 touchdowns, almost 2,800 yards. The next guy, 42 touchdowns, 42. Oh, average 6.8 yards a carry, 6.8 yards a carry, 6.8. That means you just running first downs, 2 plays, first down, 2 plays, first down, 2 plays, first down. You have a 10-play drive, you scored a touchdown like that. 3880 in total in rushing yards. And then this other guy, the other guy, 49 touchdowns, average 7.2 yards a carry. Average 7.2 yards a carry. Carried the ball for 4,780 yards. We're going to put a pin there because I'm going to come back and put names with the stats. And then you can tell me who your Mount Rushmore runners are for the University of Nebraska. We'll be right back to Locked On Huskers. Oh, my goodness. We're not having any fun today. And just in a teaser, right? Again, thank you for watching Locked On Huskers. Appreciate you hanging out. Again, your comments are welcome down in the comment section. You're not wrong in however you feel about it. The top three is pretty exceptional. This list of 20 is pretty exceptional. It's just exceptional, but I'm not sure that anybody has a better three than Nebraska. Husker fans, of course, you're certainly not going to disagree with me, but I'm okay with the discussion if you come up with it. And then tomorrow's show, I actually had super producer Rico remind me. Tomorrow's Locked On episode will be about consensus All-Americans at Nebraska. So get your thinking hats on because there are some astounding stats when you look at those numbers. But we'll talk about those tomorrow. Okay, so top three runners that I had in play. And again, if I forgot anybody, I apologize. But I was trying to put it through it, from my head and then have stats to match. But here are a few of the stats that come into play. That running back one, Again, played from 1981 to 1983. 4,780 yards rushing, 7.2 yards a carry, 49 touchdowns. That's incredible. And for running backs, that 49 is tops. Now, Eric Crouch had 59 at quarterback, but at running back, this is the bell cow. This is the number that stands above everybody else. That is Mike Rozier. And again, if you put Amir Abdullah in the top 4, you're not wrong. Again, 4,600 yards rushing, 5.6 yards a carry, 39 touchdowns. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I'm on Green's numbers in his time here: 3,880 yards, 6.8 yards a carry, 42 touchdowns. 42 touchdowns. And then, oh, by the way, there's this guy, 6.2 yards a carry, 2,700 yards plus, 30 touchdowns, Lawrence Phillips. You feel free to tell me who makes your Mount Rushmore. You can't be wrong. I'm not going to be mad at you. And then you can also tell me, is there any university that has 3 elite runners as elite as the 3 we just talked about in Mike Rozier, Lawrence Phillips, and Ahman Green? Thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. Again, you can't be wrong, but we're just here having the discussion. We'll close this episode with the 3 words we love so much. Go Big Red.